Major League Baseball announcing it is moving this year's All-Star Game out of Georgia. It's in response to the state's new election law. The baseball commissioner saying it, quote, opposes restrictions at the ballot box. And Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, he's responding, saying Major League Baseball, quote, caved to fear, political opportunism, and liberal lies. Major League Baseball making the move after President Biden signaled his support. Take a look.
I think today's professional athletes are acting incredibly responsibly. I would strongly support them doing that. This is Jim Crow on steroids, what they're doing in Georgia and 40 other states.
Other companies, including Apple, Delta Airlines, Coca-Cola, have been critical of the new law, but Republicans are hitting back, accusing those companies of hypocrisy, especially when it comes to doing business with China, despite that country's human rights abuses. Greg, welcome back. Commissioner Manfred said that what's happened is just not in keeping with baseball values, that they want people to have the right to vote. And meanwhile, you hear all this talk about China. Is that a dodge?
He's an idiot. I mean, plain and simple. No one's being discriminated against, but I have to point this out. It is awesome watching Major League Baseball pull this pretentious virtue signaling when on all Major League Baseball platforms for the All-Star Game, fans can vote 5 times over a 24-hour period. So, you want to talk about corruption? Look in the mirror, Major League Baseball. Look how you do your voting for All-Stars. Okay, let's get the only reason why MLB is doing this, it's connected to the China problem, okay? If you can buy off the woke with this type of virtue signaling, it makes them feel good. It makes the woke feel so good that they really don't care about the slave labor, right? It doesn't really bother them. So they're actually buying off these kind of attention-seeking, short attention span activists so they don't chase them after the bigger issues. Now, about the idea of like how this is a restriction to voting and that somehow this is a sign of opposing restrictions. This is not. You can't just vote by any way that you think fit. There are guidelines there to vote. You can't vote by shouting out the preferred candidate from your moving car, right? You have to have restrictions. Restrictions enable the freedoms, right, from corruption by being transparent. You know who should be really for this? Stacey Abrams. She still thinks she won that election fair and square. This would have helped her. But the problem is the media has orchestrated this lie, calling it like the Jim Crow era legislation, when in fact all it's doing is talking about an ID. And here's my final point and my final question. Do any of you people know anybody who doesn't have an ID? Because I have been around. I've been around on this world for over a half a century. I have never met somebody who doesn't have an ID. I'm not sheltered. If you could just name one person who doesn't have an ID, and maybe we could have them on a show and talk to them and how they get through their lives without an ID. How are they going to get a passport for their vaccine if they can't prove that's really them? So this is where old Democrat arguments go to die. You just push them a little bit. Like, tell me who these people are. Don't just say a group of people.
All right.
Give me a name. Give me a name.